What is going on out there? How's everybody doing? JT here in the studio, Studio 10-4 live, back with you for Wednesday, January 24th, 2024. Just about did this month in. It's almost to the end of it. And man, I don't know what it is. It just, time it changes along the way as you get older, and it's certainly showing itself here these last few years about how fast a year goes by. But anyway, here we are, and we're able to enjoy it because the alternative leaves us out of the script. So glad to be here and glad to have you here. Peter Henderson, good to have you on board as always, my man. He is first in the studio as always. We have somebody already in from one of the groups, and they're saying howdy to me, and thanks for that. If you're in a group on Facebook and you click on the event, it asks you for permission to share who you are. Please do that. It is only allowing you to do that for that moment, for this part of our show, so that we know who you are, because groups are set to private. Most of them are anyway. So unfortunately, when you don't give that permission, it leaves us with a silhouette, the ghost silhouette that you see when people don't have a Facebook profile picture. That's what we see. And we don't see a name. It just says Facebook user. So I got a hello, John, and a hello, everyone. So whoever you guys are, make another comment with your name on board, and we'll shout back at you. Got a great show lined up for you. I love being able to take the opportunity and share with you guys a little more of the inside story on who some of our contributors are. Today, I've got Dennis Mitchell, who is a contributor for us in the magazine, and Dennis shares his view of things that certainly make a lot of sense to a lot of people. What I like about Dennis, which there's many things, I'll just tell you. Number one, glad to have him have him had served. He was a Marine, is a Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine. Dennis served from 1975 to 1981, went through 3 presidents during his time of service, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. He went through Ford, Carter, and Reagan. So, I mean, I'm curious to get his take on, because every time there's a presidential change, the armed services, there's definitely a different frame of mind for the guys. So yeah, it changes along the way, and I've heard over the years through different presidencies about how they felt, and right now it ain't so good. They're wondering why volunteering, signing up for the armed forces is an all-time low. Do you really need to ask that question? Please, people, think about it. It's pretty freaking obvious. Jamie, what's going on, buddy? We can see you, and your name came in, so good to have you on board. Jamie, you are the what I call the big time awesome guy and fan, and I'm so glad to have you on the show and get your comments and be a part of things, man. And I always enjoy watching whatever you're cooking and preparing and doing on the smoker and out in RVing and out and about. So good to have you on board. Everett, good to have you. Sorry we missed you last week. So thanks for coming back and being here. Aaron, nice to have you back on the show as well. So did everybody get what they wanted this last weekend? I mean, as far as NFL playoffs, are you guys even interested? Does anybody care besides me? I'm Niner fan, so I'm digging it. It wasn't pretty. Man, it wasn't pretty at all, but we got it done, and we're alive to live another day. I know Jamie is, yeah, but he's a huge Chiefs fan there. So, Jamie, what do you think, man? I mean, besides, you're a loyal fan, but Baltimore's pretty tough, man. I mean they at home too, so I don't know, and I don't have well. Beyond, and Jamie, you're going to hate me for this. I want Baltimore to win so we get a shot at them and kind of set that record straight. I mean, for the Niners, I want San Francisco 49ers, Baltimore Ravens Super Bowl, and have us ultimately take it all the way down the line. I would really like to see that. Baltimore is tough. And yeah, and hey, the Lions are an emotional, state right now, man. That's a very emotional thing. I remember watching some of the stories over the weekend about fans, and particularly when they brought up the fact that one of the fans had been there with season tickets since like 1955 or something. This guy, and then another guy, who's probably, he looked like he was in his 30s, 40s, maybe, and he was crying at the end of the game that got them into into the playoffs for the first time in 30 years, and now they've gone to the next round, which they've, I don't know how long it's been since they've done that, but the bottom line is this guy was crying in his, standing up after they won the game, and I could so relate after this weekend when they brought that guy in and got his story. And his story was that his dad brought him to the games as a kid. This was their thing. That's what they did together, their team. I mean, a lot of us know this, right? Our dads, did stuff with us that it probably is always going to be a part of who we are. It's in our DNA. And in this guy's case, of course, his father passed before Detroit could ever make it into the playoffs, and to share with his son, him and his son. And for me, that was the San Francisco Giants in 2010, when the Giants took their first World Series of San Francisco era. And of course, then they went on to win 3 and 5, 10, 12, 14. But 2010 just tugged at my heartstrings because of my dad, and I went to the parade. I went to San Francisco, and I mean, I went all the way in on that deal, and it was definitely something I'll never forget. And I was so thankful for my dad that was one of the things we shared, but so sad that he never was able to see that. Now, my dad came from the East Coast, and so the East Coast thing, East Coast Giants and Dodgers both came from the East Coast, Brooklyn Dodgers and New York Giants. So, old school rivalry, but the Giants finally did it. And you guys check this out, because I know Google's there, but if I'm not mistaken, Giants have the all-time record, and I can't remember if it's record World Series championships between them and the Dodgers, or in the league overall. I think first one everybody says is, what about the Yankees? They're the winningest franchise. I'm not sure. So I'd love to hear that and see what you guys have to say. Facebook user that just dropped in and said, hello, 10-4 friends. I'm thinking that might be Annette. I don't know, but has her colors. So I'm thinking maybe so. Hello, 10-4 friends. Cody, what's going on, buddy? Good to have you on the show, man. How's that truck of yours doing out there in the winter? The winter season is definitely here. Just went upstairs to kind of get a few things set up before the show. Excuse me. And you got blue sky here in my place, but it's raining. So I don't know where that's coming from, but I look out there and there's blue skies going on, but it's raining out there. So anyway, welcome to Oregon, right? So things that are coming up, obviously, we're working on Trucking for Kids. That's our big push right now. Along with that, and before that, is Mid-America Truck Show and the Paul K. Young Truck Beauty Championship that's going to be going on in tandem with that. We've got those things coming up at the end of March and at the end of April, respectively, and in that order. So pre-registration is open for both. I did find out and learn something new, that if you are not recognized as a piece of equipment on the registration for mats, you can't register. So there are inclusions. You have to call them up and you have to say, hey, you guys don't have me on there. Can you put me in so I can register? So I found that out this week, and they're going to get that taken care of. We have somebody that's that's going to be registering for the first time with a manufacturer that they have for the first time. So anyway, interesting story, but things are looking pretty damn exciting for both shows. Can't wait. I mean, Mid America is the show of the year, as go those types of shows. And what I mean by that is I consider it a very traditional, compulsory trade and industry show because it's so big, covers so much. While it has the Truck Beauty Championship, it has everything else going on too. I mean, you have and should have the manufacturers that are there: Peterbilt, Kenworth, Mack Truck, Freightliner, Volvo, on down the Western Star. Everybody, all the manufacturers that are in this together in this game, they should be there. This is the opportunity for the public to go in, see what's going on, and get educated as to what is going to be happening in the current year or the upcoming model year. And I mean, with every aspect of it. And then you've got, us, 10-4 Magazine, people that sell all the custom cool stuff, chrome stuff, 4-state trucks, Roadworks, the list goes on and on and on and on. You've got North Wing folks that's where we're at. Then you've got the West Wing folks. The West Wing's like the Wild West, and I think it's named appropriately. You go out there, man, there's a little bit of everything out there. It gets crazy. Jamie, my understanding is that that's a definite maybe. And Jamie's question, are the OEMs there? Yeah, it's the best I can give you right now. It's a definite maybe. Nobody's given me a lead pipe lock on the OEMs showing up, but I'm hoping they make it, and I'm sure it would be good for the industry that they did. Tim Siebes, what's going on? Betty Tim's in the house. Dolores showed up just now. Rick McClurkin, good to have you on the show. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. OEMs, of course, original equipment manufacturers, for those that don't know, and we're hoping that they show up. One final note: the upcoming weekend, the AFC and NFC championship games, both of them will be on Sunday. We have the Chiefs and the Ravens going first, and then the 49ers and the Lions going to close the night out in Santa Clara. So get where you want to be so you can watch the game, have some good food. I'd also, what I'd like to know, what are you guys cooking and making up for the playoff games? And then, of course, ultimately the Super Bowl, which is going to be on February 11th this year. I mean, I'm looking forward to having some food and fun. That's more what the thing's about. I mean, especially if you don't have a horse in the race, and there's no guarantee you're going to, or that I'm going to, even at this point. Although I have a pretty good feeling that the 49ers are going to get their act together and not have a repeat of a disappointment of performance like they did this last weekend against Green Bay. Lions, yeah, they're hot. They're playing on an emotional, high, and everything looks good for them. Don't wish any ill on anybody, but it is football. Somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. So, all right, let's talk a little bit more about Dennis. I'm going to bring Dennis in a minute, but I wanted to preface Dennis coming in and sharing his time with us today. Owner-operators, you guys are who made this industry. I'm not taking away anything from the big companies out there that, they have sheer numbers of drivers and trucks, and they move a lot of equipment and freight and things that all the owner-operators do as well. But I want to say, the owner-operators, and that's 10-4, that's 10-4 Magazine right there. Owner-operators, small fleets. That's who it is that really are the heart and soul of the industry. Shannon, hi Shannon. I must have missed her. Dan and Shan are watching in the car. Hey, wait a minute. Who's watching again? Dan and on the road tonight. That's awesome. Press check tomorrow. Hey, and by the way, we're going to have a show where we're going to bring Dan the Man, Dan Lins, our owner, editor, creator, founder of 10-4 Magazine, in, and we are going to give you guys the inside look of what it takes to put this little beauty right here into print. All the work that goes into it, from creative to the actual, going to the printer and making sure that the truck, if it's white, comes out white, and the sky's blue, and the ground's whatever the ground's going to be that day. So look forward to that. And we're still going to bring the gentleman that we had on last week, Carlos, with Jay Galt, and we're going to be talking about credit repair as well. So but let's get back to Dennis. Owner operators, you guys have such a workload to get through and do what you do. You wear many hats. You need to have many skills to be successful, and really key to success, profitable. If you're not making money, you need to really evaluate what it is you're doing. No money, no nothing. It's got to be, you got to be making money. Your loads have to be paying. And there's a number of different ways to help contribute to that success. And I've seen Dennis do a lot of those things in social media postings of him working on his own truck, fixing things along the way as they go. Maintenance, intervals, major repairs, semi-major. He's done it all. And we're going to talk about that. And that's an advantage that a lot of folks don't have over guys like Dennis. They're in a position where they have to take the truck out of service, bring it to the shop, hope it can get in, hope it can get parts, hope it can get repaired, and get back on the road. That's a big deal. And Dennis has got some stories that he can talk about to that effect. So Dale, good to have you back. It's been a while, man. Steve, thanks. Waving a hand back at you in Tulare, California. Tulare or Tulare? I always say Tulare. So I don't know, get clarification on that, but I think it goes either ways. Somebody else dropped in, Facebook user, again, the silhouette. We don't know who you are, but how you doing? And thanks for tuning in. You said hi, John Testa. If you tune in from a group, you have to give permission so that we can see who you are. With that, I'm going to take us over here and bring Mr. Dennis Mitchell into the show. Dennis, how are you, man?
Wonderful, young man. Everybody have a wonderful day. It's just lucky to be alive.
I have to agree. If you can't feel the pain and you are in pain, then I don't think that's good.
we deny that.
Yeah. Pain is living, as they say, I suppose. So, first off, thanks for being the contributor that you are to 10-4 magazine. How long you been with us now doing that?
Oh, in my 5th or 6th year.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's one of those things that you don't count.
Yeah.
You've done it.
You
look how long you're going to be able to do it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and listen, it's not like, you just push a button and article created by any means. In fact, there's a lot that goes into what it is that you do for the magazine, as well as the other contributors. You got to put something together that makes sense. Now, and hopefully is helpful too. And that's where bringing you along today into the show is really kind of a standout for me. We've had other folks along the way, Brian Martin of Four States, drawing a blank right now. And I shouldn't, but it is Pittsburgh Power.
Bruce Mallison.
Thank you. Yeah, Bruce. As well as others that have given us, the how-tos, the why-tos, what's it going to cost to do some of the things that need to be done along the way. And I think you've been kind of illustrating that. I mean, this month's article, looking at it, is all pointing to steel haulers, which in my world, that's a big deal. All we do is handle steel all day. So I think there could be a whole show just on what are those rolls or coils, as they're called, all about. So if you guys want to find out what it is that's on the back of a flatbed and it's this big rolled up something of metal, read Dennis's article in the January edition that's out right now. And that's not for very much longer, because the new edition is going to be coming out next week. So with that said, let's talk a little bit about this month's article that you put out, and give us your 10,000 foot view of it. And I'm going to bring it up so everybody can look at it while we're talking about it.
John, the reason that article was written was because, as crazy as it sounds, not once, twice in one 30-day period, I was passed by a tractor trailer on the right shoulder of the road.
Oh, man.
And at the time, I was one of those guys with the big coils on, and I was suicide. And I'm thinking to myself, if anything goes wrong, I'm not going to have time to ride home. It's just going to be wrong. And I got to thinking, there's a lot of operators behind the wheel today that are only there until their next big job comes along. And they are putting at risk all of the motoring public, not just cars, not pickup trucks, not just semis, everyone. So I thought it was important that we bring this out, because this is just one of a series that I hope to put pen to paper and show the highlights of different aspects of specialty freight. And flatbedding is what I'm doing today. I spent the last 10 or 12 years hauling Department of Defense and food grade products. All of those, you must know more than just driving the truck. You have to learn your freight, learn your parameters, learn your limits, know where, when, and how to do whatever it is that needs to be done. In the case of hauling steel, your securement. I'm 67 years old and been doing this for almost 5 full decades. And I still got called out on it by a young man who's done it a long darn time. And I knew better than to do that, but I'm thankful he called me out on it.
I want to jump in here too and say, part of what you just brought up, not any of it is any less important than the other, but no matter what loads you guys are carrying, and y'all know this, anybody wants to jump in anytime, please do. Any load you're carrying, you got to know what you're doing. Everything requires a little bit different process, a little bit different technique. And you start talking about these coils and the weight involved on some of these coils and securing them. I mean, you look at that load right there on that flatbed and how that thing is bound. If you don't do it like it should be done, you're leaving everybody and yourself and anybody around you at risk, and it can get pretty ugly. I don't know how many of y'all have seen. And Jeremy, thank you. Yeah, Jeremy says death coils. They can be, Jeremy. That's right. I don't know if anybody's seen them, but I have a coil that got loose and went into the cab of the truck. Mm-hmm. And it happens, and it's unfortunate, but it does. Now, that being said, my opinion, if you don't have any idea what you're doing here, you shouldn't be doing it. And I'm not speaking to you, Dennis. I'm just saying out there to the ones, if that guy was driving on the shoulder to get around you, there's no cool factor in that, man. Never is that cool. So it just makes me wonder how he loaded whatever he had on his truck. So go ahead, man. I just wanted to jump in there and share that.
That picture you got up right there, for example, that's actually 3 slit coils standing up. Now, they have to be chained around the top, not for any other purpose than to make sure that they don't move forward or backward in transit. And the side straps you see on there, when they unload those, if you take all your securement off at the same time, the darn things will fall over on you. So, and we've had some pretty sketchy forklift operators that can really add excitement to your life.
Yeah, I've seen that. I'm laughing because I've seen some stuff that you just, probably goes on Stupid Human Tricks kind of reel.
Yeah. But, well, the insurance is not interested in putting a new floor in the center of your trailer. That's the other thing, is the cost. Whether you own the equipment, lease the equipment, or it's fleet owned and you're just pulling as an owner operator, your liability for some of this freight goes beyond the cost or the revenue generated by the freight. And
Yep.
that's the difference between being in business and just doing business.
Well, and that goes to what I said in the beginning of the show today too. And being a smart ass, I've got a million analogies to what guys would say, back in the day, man. And we used to call it, when you're losing money, you're hauling air freight because you got nothing on board. And some of these guys, they figured, hey, I got a load, I'm making money, right? No, man, the wheels are turning. You're not just making money. That's just a quicker way to go broke sometimes. So
bring up a wonderful point. Landline. I got publications running out my ears at home. 10-4, landline, management, TMC, all of them come to my house. Those are all tools. They're information that I can gather so I know what a guideline is, what freight should be, because I can guess and determine, not necessarily guess, but I can determine what my cost of the operation is. We used to say $1 a mile will make you smile. That was 1977 when freight or when fuel was down in the 60-cent range. And most of us in those days didn't own our own trailers. Today, I think the last numbers I read was $2.85 a mile to be profitable. Now, that's not your cost of operation. That's to be profitable.
I was going to say, I think we're at about $3 a mile now.
Yeah. When you look at that, and your average owner operator, and I tell all of them day one, and I had an hour and a half phone call yesterday with a young man that's been in business a long time, had some questions. It had to do with an engine. In the course of going through his mechanical issues, we got to talking about some other things. And he runs a small fleet. We tell all of them right off the very first, I am a business first. My equipment comes first before me. Preventive maintenance is cheaper than a breakdown, and my time is not free, even if I don't make wages. Equity is profit. When you think that process through, you will come to understand cheap freight won't get you home.
No.
Freight will lower your standard of operation until you are out of business.
So, and let's kind of put some clarity in there on all that too. There's guys that could be listening right now and they're going, hey, I called the broker. This is what they said. This is what it is. What am I supposed to do? Listen, it's a hard choice and it's a hard decision. Don't do it. I mean, I'm just, saying no is okay.
We started running our own authority, 15 years ago. And I was trying to run the truck, run the maintenance, do the purchasing, broker the freight, the whole thing. One person, if they're doing their job like they should be, is not going to be capable of doing everything.
No.
So you need to find your strong suit, and then someone else that has capacity to pick up where you're not necessarily very good at it. I'm really good on the maintenance part. I'm really good at buying the parts. I'm not the left thing. We found out in the long run, Aunt Barb is killer when she's talking to brokers. I'm bad for some of them guys. I send them Christmas cards. She makes a used car salesman look like he's an angelic choir boy.
You know what? And all of that's a good thing. It leaves you free to succeed and be good at what you do.
And that gets back to your time has value, whether you're driving a truck, working on the truck, preparing something, looking at your taxes, learning how to do proper purchasing. These are some of the most common mistakes. And I'm not going to say new operators. I know a lot of 10, 15, 20-year equipment owners are still making some of these very basic mistakes. They're not necessarily a mistake, but they're not getting the full potential from their power. And so, we go back and, number one, you're not working for wages. As a business, the business must prosper. Your wages are only a percentage of that business. And if the business is on a 5% profit margin, you can't have a $2,000 a week wage.
No, you have to realize, and listen, those that are on the show with us today, you guys don't take this like anybody's telling you something you don't already know, but because there's some successful business people on here right now, and those that are listening that are in a position where they're tuning in, they're not knowledgeable about this stuff, they're in the industry, they're checking us out, and we have this to offer them. This is for you guys that need to hear it, man. You got to figure out what it takes to roll down the road per mile in your truck, and you have to include everything that took to make that happen. Plus, there's that unforeseen factor that you need to kind of put in there as if something happens, I've got some money to take care of it. A lot of folks, and I don't mean just in our industry, this is a business 101. A lot of folks don't get that, man. And you keep, pointing to that one thing that's the most valuable thing that any business owner has, and that's our time. And if we're not getting paid for it or charging enough for it to get paid for it, then we're doing it wrong. We need to rethink what it is, how we do what we do, and make sure there's money in there for us. I mean, literally everything paid for, and I mean everything paid for. Were you able to write yourself a check for the work you did that week, that month, however you pay yourself? Did you make money for you? The business needs to make money. Dennis needs to make money. John needs to make money. So do you. Y'all need to make sure you're getting paid for what it is you're doing. And the freight rates, I've heard from a few folks that are just not favorable right now. I don't understand how that is possible, because with the cost of doing business where it is, how could the rates not be where they're at? And if you're dealing with brokers, I have to say there might be a possibility that I know the reason why. But I'm not going to call anybody to the curb. I'm just saying, you guys got to get together and do direct freight. We've had on the show, and he's a longtime friend of 10-4 and advertiser. Dan has known him much, much longer than I have, but Wayne Schooling is also a contributor to 10-4 magazine, and Wayne puts out a book that you can buy that will give you the information you need to connect with direct and prime haulers. And that right there is where you guys need to be looking. Wayne Schooling, check him out in 10-4 magazine. He's been on the show, and this is Wayne's article right here for January. And that's one smart guy, man. Let me tell you, we talked to him on the show, and he has incredible knowledge and valuable knowledge that y'all need to know, and ways to get away from using brokers if you would like to do that. I mean, some of us, that's a better way to go, because you feel like you can make a call, get on your phone, open up an app, whatever it is you do to get that load and find it. At the same time, might take you a little bit more to get the accounts that you need set up initially, but once it's done, now you've got them. And now all you do is make sure you get that information from your prime hauler that you're working with, whoever that prime is that is giving you the load, and make sure they're covered every time. Who knows, you get it going good enough, you could end up with a string of guys working for you. And I can tell you that from experience, because that's how it was when I was in the business. Eventually, when I got out, I had to say goodbye to everybody and thank you. And I still carried on for a couple more years after that to make sure everybody was covered. But look into it, guys. Look into getting on your own hauls and no more brokers.
John, if there's a lot of guys, there's a niche market out there. If you're doing a good job. And if you can do a better job than the competition. Now, I spent the last 5 years working, 50% of our work was with one brokerage. That one brokerage was calling us daily with the same freight every week, every time, all LTL freight, all for the same customer. That was for a very large government contract. I don't need to tell you, it came at a premium rate. If they got their money, I got my money. Everybody was happy.
Okay.
That is something, if you watch replicated freight, based on every freight board has it, and you start to see it reoccur again and again and again. And if you do take a broker load, it had a good rate, was favorable freight, talk with that broker, develop a rapport with that broker, and your rates will be dramatically improved. And we found that was a tremendous advantage for us, because basically anymore I'm a one truck operation. I work when I want to work. I don't work when I don't want to work. And that's the advantage of, one, having paid for equipment, and two, being a senile old gentleman, which you don't have to work quite so much.
Well, and let's talk about not being senile, but let's talk about your particular business model, which I like. It reminds me a bit of mine. I liked to be able to have my own decisions and do what I wanted to do. And my main goal was to make sure my drivers were all busy every year, all year long, and they didn't have a seasonal job. They had a get to work every day, go to work job. Hey, Jacob, good to have you, man. Nice to have you on the show. And another Facebook user who just dropped in a pretty big comment there. And I don't know who that was. So if you tell us, I'd love to know, because that's what I see when you come in from one of our groups. It says Facebook user and the silhouette. So drop us your name and who you were. The business model that you're working within right now, you're calling your own shots. You're doing it as you can and see fit. But you do have some distinct advantages. And honestly, I mean, I look at you as your business partner's your truck. You got a 25-year-old truck underneath you, and it's your partner. So talking to you earlier today on the phone about that and the things that you're doing, I mean, you're getting ready to do another, part of what it takes to make a truck run down the road. Stuff that most guys, in fact, including myself, never would have thought of. But here we are. You've done your engine recently. You were doing the front end last week, kingpins, right?
I did the entire axle, kingpins, seals, bearings, races,
everything.
The whole 9 yards. Even went so far as to put new tires and rims on and wheel balancers.
So a lot of guys would be priced out of doing something like that because, whatever percentage, if you were to go to the shop, you got a percentage for parts, you got a percentage for labor. The labor, I mean, $200 an hour, whatever, a shop is now, which that's probably
you're not
that
that
or more, right? 240. I don't know.
You figure just the cost of labor. There's a parts markup, and right now almost 100% markup on parts.
Yeah.
And so we tell everybody, price your part before you go to get something done. You should be doing your pre-trip. You should be doing a relatively good maintenance program, which is not a pre-trip. That means putting your hands on pieces, getting under the truck, getting dirty, looking at things. I spent the whole day today taking my fuel tanks off. When's the last time somebody serviced their fuel tanks?
Yeah, never.
Right. And we live up here in snow country, and every 2-3 years you take the straps down and you clean behind them, and you put grease gun grease in the little pit holes that you get there. That just slows the water from eating in the acidic limestone from continue to eat into your aluminum. Eventually it spoils the tanks. Now I got 4 years out of these fuel tanks. I'm going to have to buy new ones. Now, if I took it to the shop and bought OEM, we're going to be somewhere around $2,000, $2,200 per tank. I can go aftermarket, get a Stone Cold lookalike, which I feel is a better product, and do it for about $1,400. but I'm doing the labor. And I've said right along, I had a banker years ago who told me he would give me all the money I needed to buy tools and books. You learn how to use those tools from the books you just bought, and you won't need money the second time.
Right.
And he was absolutely right. Learn to invest in yourself.
Yep.
To a new operator, whether they're a lease operator, owner operator, lease purchase operator, it makes no difference. Every dollar you put in that truck, you should match it by putting a dollar into yourself and your tools and your capacity. Because you were right a minute ago. My truck is my partner.
It is. Absolutely it is.
It takes both of us to do it.
What was my comment the other day on your Facebook post? Something about taking care of your horse. You know, I mean.
Oh yeah.
There it is.
Takes care of the horse.
Yeah.
Now, when I come in off the road, before I even go in the house, my truck is taken care of. If it needed something, and then I run around. I still live in the old world. Spiral notebooks.
Hey, what is that?
My mileage book. It's all, my Bible. It tells me what I did, what I need to do. And this is the most common mistake a person makes. They're driving down the road and they realize fuel gauge not working. Well, I need to fix that. So they go on about their business. They get home all weekend, jump in the truck Saturday night or Sunday night. Damn, fuel gauge ain't working.
Fuel gauge don't work. Still
don't work. I wasted a whole weekend because I played golf. I rode the motorcycle. If I'd have wrote it in the book, when I got home, I need to fix fuel gauge.
Yeah. Well, listen, there's a lot of different items and trucks, cars. I don't have a truck to go through it with right now. I have a car. It's an 04, and I'm going through processes right now of redoing it. And I have people that say, why don't you just buy a new car? Well, number one, this one's paid for. and number two, I like it. I like this car. And I don't know that I'm going to get anything of value like I have right now that I just put a few $1,000s in to get it back to as good as new condition, and in your business, when you're trucking, there's nothing that you have at this point, especially, I mean, cost of a new truck, there's no reason that you can't redo whatever needs to be done on your truck to keep it rolling down the road.
I was just out to PCT, Pickett Customs, a couple weeks ago. Spent my Christmas out there. I'm still working on an antique Peterbilt out there. We're trying to bring it back. It's a brand new one. We're working on it. Been a long years project. But when I was out there, I was around some brand new ones that are, new as had never been delivered yet.
Yeah.
And they're being customized and, final detail and that kind of thing. I wouldn't have one of those if they gave it to me, I'm afraid I'd have to send it back. I'm not smart enough to operate it, to be honest with you. I don't know nothing about them. You turn the key and the whole dash screen lights up. And it's like,
it does. I have to.
Oil pressure is. I want to know what the temperature of the engine is. I don't need a television screen. And so you can't work on that because you got to have mega big dollars of equipment. Now, if you got a fleet, you can afford to do that. And then you have to have someone whose job it is to know how to run that equipment. My job's to run the truck. So I'm very confident and capable in the older equipment. And I think over the course of time, we are going to see a resurgence of this older machinery simply because of the simplicity of it.
Not if the EPA has anything to say about it.
It gets dark at night.
And I also want to say too, the tools it takes to work on, diagnose, and talk to the trucks now, and it's actually cost of technology's come down, but the cost of hand tools hasn't.
No.
Snap-on, let me tell you, man, you get on that Snap-on truck, baby, you better bring your freaking credit cards and then some, man, because it's gonna it's gonna hurt.
Yeah. That reminds me, I made a note here. It's called the 5-gallon pail. I carry a blue 5-gallon pail with me every place I go. I mean, what do you use the 5-gallon pail for? Well, it's a multitask tool. It's a stool to sit on, a place to keep your tools. It's a bathroom,
Yeah.
a place to wash up.
I knew you were going to go there.
It's all these things. For the first 25 years that I owned trucks, I never had a toolbox.
Yeah.
I had eggs on the wall in a 5-gallon pail. And the concept behind it was you had to think, and you read my articles, I'm always mentioning the 6 Ps. Prior preparation prevents poor performance. Now, that wasn't the original saying, but that's one for a family audience. If you know what it is you're going to do, you know what you need to do it, you have the parts to do it, and the knowledge to go through you're there. You're way ahead of the game. And the cost of doing any repair is money in your pocket, because that's revenue you did not spend. So that's revenue you can reinvest. Every dollar you leave at the dealership or you leave at the mechanic shop has no more use to you. It's gone. It's out the window. But if you did the labor yourself, you can't write labor off if it's your own labor.
Yeah, and there's a couple of points I want to dive into on yours here. And Jamie, Dennis, you'll meet him. I hope you're going to be at Matt's.
I will probably make an appearance, as was disclosed a couple weeks ago, in the judging of the custom trucks.
Okay. All right. Cool. So that's good. So Jamie, look for you at Matt's. And wait a minute, Jamie, you're still coming. You're just not bringing a truck. So supposedly, rumor has it. But wanted to take a minute too and say, Jeremy, brings up a good point. In fact, Jeremy, you had a couple of good points here, and then Reed as well. And Dennis and I have talked about this so far in the show. Not everybody has the same skill sets, and that's where a guy really has to have it together, man. If you're not a Dennis or a John or Reed, it sounds like you too, guys that can fix their own stuff, you're at a huge disadvantage. Your business model needs to really thrive in ways that others might not need to be so critical about, because they can still roll down the road, still remain profitable by doing their own work. But boy, is there there's just a whole process that comes together. If you're your own shop guy, your own mechanic, you're going to be doing your own thing, and you're also going to be buying your own parts. So you're going to get the best deals on parts. You're going to get, everything's in your favor at that point. So I want to throw that out there. But Jeremy, yeah, it's tough. And John, nice to have you back on the show. John says they're nice. New trucks are nice. Boss just bought him a 389X. Congratulations on that. They have a lot of info when you figure them out. Well, they do. And listen, let me just clarify one other thing too. And that's like, Jamie, wait a minute. Is there you guys know each other? or is Jamie just making an obvious observation? You do have a good employer there, John. Business models vary. And yes, we all understand, spend money, make money, save money. We all understand invest money, taxable lost carryovers, and all these different things that help you make money along the way, depending on what your model is like. Buying a new truck every 5 years, and I think that buying a new truck every 5 year thing, I understand that has shifted a bit, and it's not so much every 5 years now. It seems like that's turned into a maybe 7 year deal, and the way they're building trucks right now, I don't know that that's good or bad, but obviously we're going to find out. But just the way things are, everybody does what they need to do, how they do it to fit their model. Dennis's and mine happened to be one that we bought what we bought, and then we took it to the next level, or we maintained it at the level that it should be, so it was dependable, safe, and profitable while we're running it down the road. So that's all I wanted to add into that. John, thanks again. Hey, Jeff, good to have you on the show, man. Jeff Patello tuning in. Yeah, good to have you there, buddy. And John, so John, you work for I guess you work for Jamie, right? Is that right? He does take care of us. Jamie Neal worked with me. Okay, right on. Good. So we got a group tuning in, and thanks, John, for clarifying that. Anyway, Dennis, back to you, buddy. Sorry to take over there, but
I was going to mention, and they brought up a good point. Not everybody's going to be a master mechanic, and I'm not. Truth be known, never had a day of schooling in my life in that. Finance. Go figure. I learned breaking down tires. That was, and I started with the most basic, most simple of tasks. And every time I had to get something done, I made myself available to watch what they were doing and ask questions. And I don't care if you've been out here 1 year, 5 years, 20 years. There's someone can learn from everyone. You just be willing to make that compromise. And the barter system, like I mentioned earlier, you may not be good dealing with brokers. You may have another strong suit. Well, you barter your maintenance with someone. Well, I had that motor belt last January. I work with Big Phil. And we bartered to get the work done, which was a savings. Now, I still compensated his time, but I got the kind of build I wanted built. And I worked with multiple suppliers to get the parts that I wanted. Had I dropped that off at an engine shop, I'd have gotten whatever they wanted me to have, and I'd have paid whatever they charged me for it, and would have had full control. So one thing, as an owner-operator, the average individual doesn't know what something is supposed to cost, just like freight rates. So if you're going in for an engine repair, know what that engine's going to cost. I got a friend of mine that just had a 600 horse Cummins go into overspeed, come completely undone. The engine is of no use. He's in for 60 plus grand for a brand new out of frame motor. That's going to set him back a couple of years, but he's young enough. He's got a platform he likes. That I stress strongly. If you're going to be an owner operator, figure out what kind of truck you want. That's where you start. Now, you don't have to own it, but that's where you start. Now, the truck that I currently drive, I paid $13,000 for it online, sight unseen. I bought it for my son to drive because I knew he'd wreck it.
And what is it? Tell everybody what you got. What do you run?
2,379 Peterbilt.
Okay.
Cat powered, 13 speed, short wheelbase, nothing fancy. And we went down North Carolina, picked it up, having no idea what we got. I expected to bring it home on a wrecker. It was drivable. We brought it home right out of the bat. I sent it to a friend of mine and had the engine. It was pushing water, so we figured it was a cracked head. Was not a cracked head. Had it apart. They couldn't find anything wrong with the crazy thing. That Jay Bumpus was the man that did the work, and he taught me a valuable lesson, and I went up there every single day to watch what he was doing. He couldn't find the cause of the problem, so he kept looking. There's a key in there. Don't stop before you get to the end of the road. Turned out I had a horizontal crack in a liner. That particular engine has done that more than once. So we figured it out. We were bouncing liners. Once I had the block cut, put it back together, it ran great for the next 1,000,000 miles. And then I cracked the head and had some other issues. So I just went through the whole motor again.
That's a 3406, right?
Yes, sir. That's
what I figured. Yeah.
So it's my preferred, power plant. We tell everybody, if you're out to chase fuel mileage, do not buy a Caterpillar. You're never. Okay, if you want horsepower, don't buy a Detroit. You're not going to get horsepower for very long. It'll make horsepower, but it's going to have a short life. So in the middle, if you need a little bit of both, Cummins has got some real good options. So pick the right power plant for what it is you're going to do. And once you get the platform you like, in my case, I've always liked the Peterbilt truck. I got a whole yard full of them. Part of the reason I got a whole yard full of them is there's parts. And when I can pick up a $2,500 carcass, there's a lot of parts on there that are probably usable. So I have probably parted out 10 or 15 trucks in the last 20 years. So I got a barn that's just full of parts. Now I know what they are. Most people wouldn't have any idea. They're junk to most people. But if I need a steering box, I've got one tagged on the shelf that's got 600,000 miles on it, still in good shape. I need a new steering axle. I got one from a car hauler out in the back that we parted out. I just tagged it. Now, I don't have room to store all that stuff. You don't have to have it at home. Remember, if you go down to the local storage facility and you get yourself an 8-foot square, you can put an awful lot of stuff in an 8-foot square. You put drums of oil. You can put 5-gallon pails of rear end lube. All the things that you're going to use on a repetitive basis, instead of running down to TA and buying $28 a gallon oil, you can go to Walmart and buy it by the 55-gallon drum at about $12. Buy yourself a $4 hand pump and you're in business.
There's a lot of ways that you guys can put things together in ways to save money if you're doing your own thing, like Dennis is talking about. And we got to wrap it up, Dennis. So I want to kind of let everybody know, first of all, if you guys want to talk to Dennis, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, you got my email there. A lot of people email me, or you know, if you're up in this area, you catch me when I'm out on the road. I actually am a full-time driver when I'm not getting medical treatments. But other than that, I haul steel up here in the, I like to call it the money belt. Most people call it the rust belt, but I'm cruising around 379 Peterbilt Lane most of the time.
And email, go ahead and give your email then.
DD Mitchell, DD Mitchell 92 at iCloud.
There you go. That's double D, DD Mitchell at iCloud.com. Oh, iCloud.com or just iCloud?
You see, now you're going to make me lie. I don't know.
Hang on. I got it right here. So let me get a peek.
92 at iCloud. I think it's probably .com on the end.
Yeah, I think it is too.
We're not a charity yet, but we're getting damn close. I'm not for profit most of the time.
Let's see here, Dennis. There you are. So yeah, DD Mitchell 92 at iCloud.com. If you guys want to reach out to Dennis and have him chat with you, make friends, get to know each other, talk shop. There it is. And then you guys can go from there. Meet him in person this year, maybe at Mid-America. And then don't forget to pick up your copy of 10-4 magazine every month and read what Dennis has to say, as well, of course, on the website too. The digital copy is available there, and all the articles are all posted up every month as well. So, Dennis, thanks for taking time out of your schedule to be with us and share tonight. I know everybody got a lot of knowledge from the conversation and the benefit of many years of trucking. And Dennis, thank you for your service. Appreciate your time that you gave to this country, and I hope that the youngsters out there that are trying to figure out what to do with their lives will take a page from that book of your life and give some time and serve. So
thank you.
Look forward to seeing you. Say hi to Aunt Barb for us. We'll talk
sure
to you
will.
soon. All right. Take care.
Bye, guys.
All right, y'all. Dennis Mitchell. Nice to have Dennis on the show. And remember the first time Dennis got it together at Mid-America, we had him on the show then, and that was kind of fun. You guys seeing the lights blinking over here? I don't know if I've got nothing. It's not my lights. It's this. It's the app. I think, or the camera doing some kind of funky deal there, but it just keeps flashing. At least I see it keep flashing, so I don't know what's going on. Anyway, technological glitch of some sort. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Great guests and great audience. You guys are always chiming in and asking and sharing. I appreciate all of it. Next week, we'll be back again with something interesting, I'm sure. I don't know who we're going to have on the show next week yet, but we'll definitely. You haven't seen it, Jamie? Okay, that's weird. On my end, I'm seeing this thing do this weird flash deal, and I don't know. We're going to do some upgrades on the studio as far as the camera. All I have right now in play is this Logitech webcam. Got much better gear to put in play. We'll see about doing that. We do have a double mic setup in here, so we can bring a guest in live studio and share. I can't wait to do that sometime down the road as well. Please make sure if you're going to be interested in checking out Trucking for Kids, especially if you're going to be bringing your truck to Trucking for Kids, pre-registration is open, and we have the bargain bucket, bonus bucket. I always get that one confused, and I want you to know there's 200 of those available, and that's the cool bucket with all the awesome stuff in it. Speaking of 5-gallon buckets, as we did earlier on the show, go to Trucking for Kids on our Facebook page, and you can see that bucket and some of the goodies that are in there. Jamie, I'm not admitting to anything, and that's my story and sticking to it, man. I might be drinking a bit of a adult beverage here, but just enough. Thanks to 10-4 Magazine as always, and Dan and Shan and Gene, the longtime friends of mine, and certainly affiliates, business partners, whatever you want to call us. We all work together to have a great result and something for you guys to tune into, be turned on, and have fun with. So look forward to next week. You guys keep the shiny side up out there and stay safe as always. And Shannon, not while driving. That's good to know. Nobody can ever look back on this and say, see, she was drinking. No, she wasn't. We'll see you guys next week, and we'll let you know what's coming up and who's going to be on the show. If you guys have anybody in mind you'd like to see and have me reach out to, don't hesitate. John at 10-4 Magazine, reach out and let me know who that might be. Love to get them on the show for you. Also, if anybody is in the Tahoe, Placerville, Folsom area, I have a car down there in Placerville that I'd like to get picked up and brought up to Grants Pass, Oregon. Anybody got some space, some room, know of a hot shot or something like that can make it happen? Let me know. Appreciate it. Jacob, thanks, buddy. Always good to have you on the show with us, both you and Emily. Look forward to seeing you guys at Mid-America as well. All right, y'all. Take care. Till next week.